I just start?
Wonderful. Yeah.
Well, welcome everybody. My name is Dr. Aidyl Sofia Gonzalez. I have a very long name, and it's such an honor to be included in this conversation to empower young world changers. If you're 5 to 105, it's never too late because I'm in the close to the 105-year-old age, and I want to discuss how to empower youth in science and aerospace and even in art. And my pronouns for those who are interested is she, her. And my first name is pretty original, is Aidyl. So a quick intro, I am a scientist. I'm a molecular geneticist, developmental biologist here at Caltech. I'm also an analog astronaut. I'm also an explorer. I'm actually was selected as one of the top 50 world changers from the Explorers Club this year. I authored, I'm a mom, and I'm also an educator. And my research deals with our environment and our place in the universe. So I do a lot of microbiology and astrobiology. So this background is actually, I lived in this cave for some time studying. So these are fluorescent microbes. So archaea, bacteria, and regular bacteria and some slime and fungus. And I was studying that to see why is it there? Why is it interacting? Will we find these type of critters up in space, or will they thrive in space? Can we use it as a tool for humanity's survival? I'm also the director of outreach at the International Institute of Astronautical Sciences, and I truly promote with all my heart multiculturalism, inclusivity, and innovation in STEM. I'm also a solar system ambassador at NASA, so JPL is not that far from me. And I'm a magician, so I like to blend everything together. And if you need to ask a question, please don't hesitate to interrupt me. That doesn't bother me. And this image here is after living in the cave for some time. We have some individuals who were interviewing us about our experience. So this is the interactive part. And if you could get onto that QR code or join menti.com, I want to know what inspires you about aerospace. And we could actually see in real time. Oops. Or if you can't get in there, well, let me see if I could leave this and I have it open. So what inspires you about aerospace and science? So I could just take 2 to 3 minutes, and I could actually place this link in the chat. Oh, here we go. We're making the cloud. Let's see how many. You can put as many as you want. So we have uplifting, global collaboration, which I totally agree with. Anything else? New life, the unknown, global awakening, uplifting. That's the exciting part for me, the unknown and possibility of new life. Absolutely. We have to create an account to participate, it seems. Okay, no worries about it. But we have some words here. And if you want to shout out what inspires you, please don't hesitate. Shout it out.
I like the global collaboration part and uplifting because it's helping a lot of countries. Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with you. In my experience, especially from the last mission I did, it was an international collaboration. And we learned about how we have a common goal is for humanity to move forward, to innovate, and to see our place in the stars, especially if we leave from the solar system past the Oort cloud, and also the fragility in language. So we actually had to set a cultural norm in making sure that, for example, we were weighing rocks and we're speaking Portuguese and Spanish. I'm Spanish. And trece and tres is so similar. So when I was saying, no, es tres, and my partner was saying, so it's 13 grams, you know, in Portuguese. I'm like, what? And then we had to go to English. He said, and I had to say, no, 3 grams. So we had to make sure we had a common language because there could be errors in our science. They could have consequences. Any other words? But thank you for sharing, for being so brave. So I want to lead into science and what we could do now. How can young scientists from 5 to 105, technologists, artists, really take what's going on this planet and solve real world problems, and we can participate and really take agency in what's going on. So I just took a snapshot. This is the United Nations Sustainability Developmental Goals. And you notice it's from poverty to partnership goals, to peace, to our place in space, to education, to environmental climate action, and affordable energy. And when we are solving real world problems, this is where the innovation in science and the collaboration between humanity occurs. Is beyond just innovative science. You're breaking ground. You're creating something that was not here before. That's engineering, right? You're creating a new world that was never here before. And then you're doing it in the intentions of how it could affect daily life, not only in your home, your community, your state, your country, but is globally. So when you are thinking about, what is my place? What can I do as a possible STEM career? Or what can I do now as 5, 10, 15, 18, 23, 35, 55? What is your passion? So if you're in medicine, how can you advanced technologies, not only in this planet, but in the ISS or in other worlds? Because whatever you do for space does come back to Earth 4 to 5-fold, because it makes life here manageable, cheaper, equitable, beautiful. If you are like in an environment that you have high, low growth, a lot of pollution, what can you do right now for environmental innovation? Or if you're interested in aerospace, what is your place? What is your question? What do you see that is an obstacle that you can overcome? And it's also, what is some space advances, not only for exploration, but also how to improve the observation of our Earth. So sometimes just looking at our Earth, so that's when you have that Earthrise or that overview effect. A lot of astronauts come back and say, how fragile is our planet? Sometimes you need to see a picture of our planet, or if you are so fortunate to go up and see the Earth, what do you see? And comparing it to other images from the past, because we could see if how the Earth is healing or not healing, or is there an anomaly? So, and the reason why I keep on saying 5 to 105, you can take action now. What I like about these sustainable goals, or identifying real world challenges and addressing them, it could be of any age, and you don't have to wait. You could do it now in collaboration with others. So right here, we have lots of young scientists that have innovated, from how to create clean water to how to create a prosthetic, to, this is one of my mentees, his name is Jonah Nazarian. We created together a flexible battery, and he actually won this Innovator Eco Challenge Award, because reducing the materials that are currently used in batteries, such as lithium, and just using electrolytes that's from the Earth. So here's a little video, hopefully.
Introducing FlexCharge, the world's first battery that doesn't use rare earth metals and offers a more sustainable and environmentally friendly solution for energy needs. Traditional batteries are not only unethically sourced, but also pose a significant threat to the environment and our health. With billions of batteries ending up in landfills every year, the need for an alternative has never been more crucial. FlexCharge is a game changer. It can fit the shape of any device, and it can be recharged without being plugged in. It is lighter, non-toxic, and carries more voltage per volume. Plus, it is the world's first battery that recharges with mechanical force, so it gains power with any movement. This innovative technology has been developed with a patent-pending formula that I have extensively researched to ensure reliable performance. FlexCharge offers many unique applications, one example being its sprayable properties, providing endless possibilities for new product development. The benefits don't stop there. Not only is FlexCharge made from environmentally friendly materials that are biodegradable and recyclable, it also offers a range of advantages over traditional batteries, including enhanced safety, higher energy density, and lower manufacturing costs. By switching to FlexCharge, you can make a significant impact on the environment, while enjoying the convenience and flexibility of a reliable battery. Join the revolution of systems.
So as you see here, this young world changer is 16 years old and wanted to reduce waste on this planet. And seeing all the poisoning of current batteries entering our water system, we looked into what creates a battery, what is needed, what is currently used a lot that contains batteries, and this is the innovation. So it doesn't matter what age you are. If you have an idea and you're passionate, there are resources for you and tons of individuals willing to help you and lift you up. Any questions so far? I can't see the chat, so if you are trying to communicate with me, can you just yell? Cool beans.
No questions so far.
Oh, thank you. Let's see if I could change the screen. Not only in engineering or technology or math savvy, you could still make a change in the non-traditional STEM. So this individual, Joey Saricchio, uses art to convey some of the global challenges that we need to address. So on the first top slide here, they actually took a tree, they created a guillotine. The guillotine rope was connected to an ice block. And this piece is to demonstrate that in a matter of time, when the ice melts, life will be affected. So that was really impactful. This image with, oh, it didn't, I thought I put in the video. So you notice this millipede, it actually moves, but it cannot move very well. I thought I inserted the video properly, but it's tied with a lock. And it just shows that as human impact occurs without mindfulness and how it affects the planet and other life forms, you actually are locking other life into a box, which can be detrimental. And then if you lose one component of life on this planet, either if you're a plant, a microbe, a worm, a roach, whatever it may be, there will be a domino effect. And then they also created how life will expand. Humanity are explorers, and that one day we will be on Mars or on another planet habitating. And how will humanity look there? So what's interesting and what I'm trying to convey as much, and I know all the educators and parents and guardians and mentors are definitely empowering the young individuals as well as the elder or vintage individuals, that you could foster innovation, you could problem solve, you could develop agency. You cannot say, woe is me. You can take action. And there are other, if you're thinking that there are others, and we're so fortunate that we have technology that we can communicate through Zoom, through these wonderful seminars, we can do it. And then once we are able to connect, there's the empowerment, and we can actually develop confidence. Even individuals who don't typically see themselves, they will see themselves. And you probably create a new STEM career. Any questions? So if you want to see their art, joeysaricchio.com, pretty innovative. So other ways to foster agency in STEM, STEAM, and really address global problems. And let's say you're not close to a lab or you don't have certain resources, there are citizen science projects. So you could go to Zooniverse, which is actually connected with NASA. And a lot of scientists, as well as myself, have tons of data that we cannot analyze all the time, or we can't collect as fast. So we are calling with other fellow world changers to be part of our science research project and help us analyze, collect, and really see what are we missing in order to address. And like in my case, I do soil science research. I have a citizen science project. What's the pulse of your area? What's the quality of the soil? What are the microbes present? What does your environment look like? What is the pollution levels? And it's actually in a database. You could compare it to other individuals around the world, you know, their latitude and their longitude, and you can actually see their the health of their area, and maybe innovation can occur. Either things are going better, or if there is low organic matter within your soil, how can we address it to make it better? There's the innovation. And all this data, if you're a teenager or a young career scientist, you can actually create your own research project. You can even develop your own fellowship or grant to address those problems by just participating in the citizen science and just looking at the data. We also have these STEM kits. So I'm also an educator. I taught high school. And as you can see here, you can actually use what you have in your environment and really understand, in this case, energy, and that it does not have to come from a battery. This is how the innovation occurs about the slime battery. Looking at items that have charge. Water has a charge. Salt, whiskey, soda, Red Bull, and then see what type of currents occur. And knowing this knowledge, how can we apply it with a multicultural lens to whatever real world problems you want to address? Also, you can actually put yourself out there, and this is where the bravery come in, but I'm there cheering you on, and all the individuals around you are cheering you on. You can actually submit your ideas, your proposals. You don't really have to have the experiment done, but if you have a proposal that is very well thought out, using data that is out there through citizen science, say, I see X, Y, Z, I see a pattern, so I propose this. You can actually submit it to these virtual STEM challenges, from the Space App challenges to the Eco Challenge to the UN SDG competitions. And you could actually help move the needle forward to address your passion. I'm slowing down just to make sure. And I kind of like that song too. So here is where we're going to have interaction. I do not know how many individuals are on this breakout room. Can someone?
Or total 9, so 8 other than you.
Oh, suavemente. So, okay, group challenge. We're going to work today. So we're going to go through this exercise, and I want everybody to chit chat and talk. Let's say we want to address a real world problem. So I just have some challenges here, and I want you to talk amongst yourselves or within the chat. I'll give you about 5 minutes because I wanted to let's go through this exercise. Can anyone agree, amongst all of us, what challenge do you want to attack and why? So discuss. Giving you about 4 minutes. Don't be shy. Or you could discuss in the chat. Let's see if we could agree on one challenge, or maybe 2 if you see an intersection.
Does it have to be a challenge that's on this list?
It doesn't in real life, but if I had more options, it would have taken longer to decide. So that's why I kind of limited the choices.
Okay.
Does that make sense? It's just as a exercise, and maybe this will actually become something that you will take and innovate and move forward.
I feel like mine falls under space exploration.
Suavemente, we have high temperature, space exploration, climate change, including anti-aging. I feel you. All right, let's do something. We're in space exploration. This is what Mae Jemison, she actually created this exercise for the 100-year Starship. We're in a starship. We have all these multiple countries present. We developed a cultural norm. How can we create an environment within this spacecraft that is basically like spaceship Earth, and temperature is rising due to climate change? So I'm trying to combine everything here. So we have a habitat, we're in space, temperature is rising, and it's due to spaceship Earth. We're not taking care of it. How is that? So I set up the challenge.
So this spaceship has climate change issues?
Yeah, so the life support systems are not doing, it's failing, my friend. It's failing, and we need to address why is it failing and identify how is it failing. All we know is that the spaceship, the climate, the temperature is rising. So the life support systems are not stable. Remember, we're kind of speed rounding it, but I want to just go through this exercise. Cool beans? All right.
Are there
Now,
any contingencies that were planned upfront?
may you say that again, please?
Are there any contingencies that were planned upfront?
Oh, yes, we always bring plans. We try to bring humanity, Earth, onto this spaceship Earth.
Right, but you are saying that the life support is failing. Usually when
Uh-huh.
you design something, you have like duplicate, triplicate, like backup systems. So are there any backup systems we can look at?
Okay, these are great questions because I leads in properly. So just because I have those 3 prompts within the chat, what could be the reason that the temperature is rising?
Well,
And
maybe
just
you have too many people.
could be too many, but we do not know. So how can we address that? We're not, what can we do with the resources that we have that we can innovate to address the temperature rising and is affecting the plant life that we brought? Think of the Spaceship Enterprise.
So I guess they're kind of connected in a sense, because I know in Brazil, like with the Amazon rainforest and the satellites in space that could help you see what's going on in the soil. So in a way that some of these challenges are connected and they
Yeah.
benefit one another. Yeah.
Yeah, you see it. And then what's actually happening now, we're finding out we have a global problem, that there's a temperature raise. I will come in as a molecular geneticist. I can hear someone saying, okay, here's our new environment. We're in space. I hear you saying, okay, we need to take a bird's eye view and see what's exactly happening. So you notice how all our expertise and passion is addressing that one real world problem. Isn't this is science? This is what I do every day. And this is what you do every day as well. But this is where it gets a little sassy when we go into the brainstorming, because we need to figure out, okay, what do we need to address first, right? And we have to put our implicit biases on the side and put this multicultural lens, because we want to make sure that everyone is seen, heard, and that we're not harming one to benefit the other. Does that make sense? So I do this also with middle school students, and I do this with my graduate students. I'm like, when you're designing a research project or you want to address a real world problem, make sure you know, is this just for your community or this is global? And then identify exactly what is the issue? What are we addressing exactly? As we were discussing before, we know we're seeing temperature rising. So that's the effect. What is the cause and how can we address it? So cause and effect is basically science. Once you're able to identify the problem, let's innovate and create a solution. What could be, we just throw it out there, as silly as it may be, because you never know. And then when you have all these innovative suggestions, these creative suggestions, then how can it be implemented in real life scenarios? And I have an example about these creative suggestions. That's how the current stamp, you could put your family's picture or whatever on those stamps now, because 30 years ago, not many people were mailing. So the United States Post Office was saying, how can we have more income and sell stamps and stuff like that? So people were just brainstorming. No idea was bad. Someone said, I want to put a dog on my stamp. And that became the aha. So this is where you need to create a safe space to create innovative solutions. And then when you're like, wait a second, that's not as silly as you said, then you touch base saying, does this make sense? Then how can we implement it? And do you have the resources? Right? I guess I kind of changed the exercise now. So I don't know if we have enough to, but any questions with this brainstorming multicultural? So we're addressing temperature rising, that's the effect. What are some innovative solutions in this spaceship Earth that we can suggest?
Well, I think it comes down to technology first and foremost, right? So if we know that temperature is rising, we could determine like what part of the ship that temperature rise is coming from. Is it the entire ship? Is it a certain, is it the engineering bay, right? Is it a technical glitch? What, you know, what is it? Or
I love you.
where is it arising from?
Great. But then let's say I'm just throwing wrenches at it. Oh my gosh, there is no technical glitch. What is causing the temperature rising? And it's in certain areas of the ship.
Hmm.
You see what I mean?
Well, my question would be, what is the threshold of that rising temperature, and when does it become, you know, when does it impact the ship or the crew?
Okay, I'm just gonna make up the scenario now. We
Surviving the king.
say that again?
Oh, he said surviving like a resource allocation, like maybe how are resources being used, that double checking that.
That could be true. I mean, it could be not technical, but where all the resources is going. So there's a destabilization, not some equilibrium. I know we need so much more data. I just didn't have enough time to make this whole scenario. It could be a technical, maybe it's just, you know, the thermometer is not working, but that is technical. Or it could just be that there's too many people in one area and the ship, because the real estate of that ship, it doesn't sense a temperature change, the perception, but the human factor perception, we probably feel it because we've seen people pass out. I'm just,
Can we
Yeah.
look at temperature measurements at different parts of the ship?
yeah, in different parts of the ship, or maybe it's like we have a person who is a little shorter than us feeling the effect, but there's never been a temperature gauge at that level of the ship. So let's say it's 10 feet tall, the ship, you know, and most of the individuals are 5'5", but we have other, you know, life forms that are 3 feet tall, but we never been monitoring the temperature down there. I'm just throwing out ideas that the unlikelies, like, or can be, and then it's easier to address. But this is when we have to start collaborating. Again, I don't have the definitions of spaceship and the correct crisis. I do that in other workshops when I have it all defined, and then it's like a full day exercise. It's a lot of fun. But once we identify what is the culprit and we say, okay, this is what we need to address first, then we have to look at what do we have and how can we repurpose it? So those who are Gen Xers, remember MacGyver? This is where MacGyvering happens, or Apollo 13. You know, a can of Coca-Cola can be reused as a pipe. So things to really innovate. Thank you for riding this ride with me. So when we do after the brainstorming, then is define, discuss, and then start prototyping. Oopsie. And as you see here, from brainstorming to definition to the actual testing is a two-way street. I'm just going to speed up because I know I'm looking at time. You got to, once you define the problem and you identify, you start collecting data, then you need to have this clear-cut statement. So when I drop something, it falls, you know, that clear-cut statement, because you don't want any other variables interfering with your thought process, especially when you're developing an experiment that should be reproducible or identifiable or understandable. Or it could be completely different from your actual experimental questions you need to adjust. Then you have this innovation process. You have to improve, you need to develop, you need to re-brainstorm again. Did we miss something? Did we have a blind spot? And then again, iterate, improve, improve. And it doesn't take one time. It doesn't take 10 times. I know personally, especially when we were doing this research initiative, understanding the microbes behind me within a cave and understanding the human factor, and that my thought process might be altered because, you know, carbon dioxide levels a little higher. So was I entering hypoxia? All this stuff. That's why we have a team. And then we really make sure that once we create a working model, then we could go, so this is an example, we could go in and test. So this image here, we couldn't go deep into the cave, so we sent a drone with a particular probe that I use from DataBot. So I'm grateful for DataBots allowing me to use their systems, and that's my hand here. And we went in to look at how safe it is for us to enter in deeper into the cave to collect some samples. So you also have to make sure you understand the risks factor. And if you don't have the money, how can you, because I have to admit, a lot of research does require money. How can you do it cheaper? Can you do it better but cheaper? Do you need that particular circuit? Can you create the circuit? This is where innovation occurs. Okay. And sometimes there was a lot of risks. I was the shortest one, so I had to go into that tube once I knew I could handle those particular gas levels. Fun facts. Any questions so far? Hope we're in suave mode. All right. So this is the testing. So these are certain microbes that I was able to isolate. I was working with a team, it's an international team from Spain, Slovakia, and myself from the US. And we've been collaborating for a couple of months before we actually went into the cave and figure out what we're going to be testing. Why are we testing? We defined our parameters. And just fun facts, can we use these microbes, maybe the proteins in there, for different purposes, such as maybe we could use these particular proteins to break down hydrocarbons in the ocean. So basically doing bioremediation from the things that we discovered in the cave. But definitely, just as when you put your ego at the door, you have a growth mindset, you're very methodical because you don't want to make a mistake. You stay open-minded and you always say, I wonder, did you check? Try to poke holes to the data because you want to make sure it's unpenetrable. And definitely document. So as you see here in my picture in the bottom, so I was able to take the materials from Portugal, bring it to California. I just called this red stuff, exploded Elmo. So I'm sorry for those who love Elmo. I found the exploded one and I started to analyze it. So, and I had my guided questions. What was my goal? How do I measure success? Can it be reproducible? What was my challenges? Can someone go in and double check that what I did was correct? So that was pretty fun. So I just did a quick little flow chart of this. It's kind of like design thinking process that, again, from 5 to 105, if you see a real world problem, you can address it. Just collect a team, communicate, innovate. So, and a lot of it, once you brainstorm, is a two-way street. It's not going to be a straight process. So I really want to get into the questions. So what are the pathways to become a world changer? Do what you love. Do what is your passion that you kind of like, in a way, obsessed from it. For me, was science. For me, in particular, was genetics, DNA. How can 4 little chemicals, A, T, C, G, those chemicals that make up DNA is just sugar, a little phosphate, and a nitrogen, and like it's a nothing chemical. But once you organize it and discern amount of nucleotides you have present, you could be the mighty elephant to a cockroach to a microbe to, it's just them, and it's the same code. Definitely, no matter if you're 5, 55, 65, 75, ask for mentorship, ask for help. I love LinkedIn, I love Instagram. You see all these individuals. Email university professors or CEOs of biotech companies if that's your thing, because it's my thing. Ask, hey, I'm pretty interested. These are particular questions. I've been doing this. Any suggestions, guidance, mentorship? More likely than not, they will say, absolutely, let me see how I can help you. Or they will give you 30 minutes of their time. And this is one thing I always say, it doesn't matter where you started or it doesn't define you. It's what you do, the outcomes you achieve, and how you lift others up that matter. Because I did not come from privilege. My parents came from Puerto Rico. They just didn't have, Puerto Riqueña, Boricua here.
I was partly raised by Puerto Ricans, yeah.
Perfecto. So then I was born in the South Bronx, but the rest of my family was born in Puerto Rico. came here, sixth grade education, and there was already a stereotype. I didn't come. We were on welfare. It was not what you think, you know. But I knew I wanted better. I knew I had this question of DNA since I was little because of a cockroach, and that's a different story. And I kept on asking questions and saying, why not me? Why can't I? And plus, it was survival for me. My neighborhood was pretty dangerous. I didn't want to end up like a couple of my friends that passed due to incidences. I knew I wanted more. I knew that one day I kept on seeing the moon, that I was going to see the earth in the moon's perspective. And I haven't stopped. That's been my obsession. So before we end this talk and begin the conversations, this is a self-reflection question. I know I threw a lot at you, but just think about it, saying, you know, what is one action that you can do to start your journey, to be a world changer? We all are world changers. In science, in aerospace, in climate, and civil, social situations, what can you do? One thing you did is attend this workshop. Yay, thank you. But what actionable steps can you do and that you will hold yourself accountable for? Okay. And I'm going to close up. These are like all my exploits around the world. And if you saw where I came from, I never thought I would be here and done all these things. And there's a QR code to my website if you want to learn more, if you want to collaborate or be part of my citizen science project, or how to use Zooniverse or NASA's citizen science project. Please don't hesitate. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you all just listening in, writing my journey.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So do you have any questions? Because I wanted to leave at least 25 minutes for question and answer and exploration. Oh, please do. The mentor asks, can it be small commitment that a person can be mentor for just 10 minutes you are talking together? Yeah. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm hoping everyone feels emboldened and brave to ask questions. Maybe we could develop a research project right now. Let's do this.
Are you into like epigenetics?
Am I into epigenetics? That's a big factor, because even though you have the genetic code or the predisposition, there's other factors that can actually control gene regulation. So we need to take into account of that. And that's still a fairly new field of study, especially when 20 years ago or less than 20 years ago, when the nuclear reactor meltdown in Japan, and we were looking at all the soils, that there was, even though the genetic makeup was not changed, but expression patterns change. And what was causing the change of the expression patterns? We see this also in humanity. It's like, for me, I was born in the 1900s. I don't know how to text with my two thumbs, but if you notice from millennials to Gen Z, then A, how they have that capability, that's epigenetics. What is going on there? So what is the outside factors affecting the phenotype of what our organism is undergoing? And that is cool.
Your comment about Chernobyl, I was recently reading about a microorganism that they found that actually is eating the radiation, I think, in the soil. It's some sort of black fungus that is, and they're talking about applying that now to aerospace for astronauts as a layer, either, you know, on the ship or somewhere to prevent radiation sickness or combat it.
Yes, and I was shy to talk about it because I still need to read more, because I need to see the data. How was it adapted? How was it identified? Was it unique to certain types of radiations? Because there's so many forms.
Sure.
But let's say all that was addressed. Wow, how epigenetics through a catastrophe, that something beneficial could come from it. You know, looking for the roses through the thorns, and be beneficial for humanity to explore even further for their survival, the human factor survival on the ship or on the moon or wherever humanity goes. So
Yeah, or maybe you just apply it to the plant life or the agriculture, and it, you know, can harden radiation, harden that.
yeah, and you think it would be, oh, that would be 10 years. No, it would take 20 years. But little milestones that occurred during the understanding and development and the engineering of it, new innovations will occur. Yeah, thank you for bringing it up. I was a
Have
little
you, in your research, have you run into challenges with, you know, maybe this isn't your wheelhouse, but like technology transfers? Do you think technology transfers hold back innovation, since most technology transfers, you know, kind of force the end user to monetize their technology or their solution?
I hear you. And that's like a moral dilemma for me. There's cool technology, CRISPR.
Sure.
So I mean, high school students could just order certain oligos, put it, if you
Their
just
own kits, essentially.
make
Yeah.
kits, and they were monetized. Like I created this technique called GFP. So I had GFP and I used materials from a bacteria, so the lac operator and the repressor. And GFP, this protein is actually isolated from a jellyfish. I had to alter it, and it basically became a catcher's mitt for light. And it's used to actually see where certain genes are going to be expressed, the protein. I was very fortunate because I wanted to be like Salk. If you want to use it, it should be for free. But there's certain things like in the universities, if you work in a university, they have more ownership than the individual who discovered it. So that's a whole thing. And these are the uncomfortable conversations that need to be done, because what are your intentions beyond benefiting humanity? Yes, you need to monetize to a certain extent that you want to have, pay your bills.
Sure.
Totally legit. But at the same time, are you profiting off of other people's distress? So I'm so grateful, like for the COVID vaccine, everyone had access to it. No one was monetizing it initially. But unfortunately, there are individuals who know how to make insulin cheaper, easier, more affordable, but they know there are individuals who will pay for it because it's survival.
Mm-hmm.
That's the ethics part. And this is why I wanted to show the non-STEM component. I wanted to show the humanity component, the art, the psychology that is going on right now. You want to know the human factor. What type of humanity you want progressing forward. Right now, we're the current stewards of this planet. We learned from the previous stewards of what was successful and what wasn't.
Yeah.
So we need to
And
make
that's my thinking too, is if we take these same problems that we have here somewhere else, what's the point of going somewhere else?
and these are the uncomfortable questions that we have to, stand by and say, here's our our posts, these are
Mm-hmm.
our guide rails, because we want to bring the best of humanity forward. And this is where you have to have a multicultural lens, to say, okay, what are your intentions? Is it the I or the we perspective? And conversations that can pull a person, but great like bylaws occurs from it.
Very cool. What about space resources? And any of the research that you're involved in, do you see any parallels to, space resource research on other planets?
Yeah, so this is one of the astrobiology work. I wanted to see what type of extremophiles are existing in areas that are not typically seen. So like I found a particular archaea that is not typically found within a cave. So I'm trying to figure out, with the current research that have been published, it's not there. I'm like, what the dealio is going on? And is that an indicator of, like, can I find biosignatures that can be used to see if it's on Mars or in other planets? Or can it be used, like, so this particular, a couple of the communities that I have, well, no, it's over here. Actually, some of the communities here actually break down hydrocarbons. Like, see if that could be used in applications here on this planet, but can it be used in another planet as well for human sustainability? So yes, so I do have and then I'm actually doing Alzheimer's research. I use nematodes, and I've been so close to go to the ISS to do my research. I'm hoping soon, but I think as the medical doctors, we're not using all the tools in our tool chest to really address, at least for my, because this is my family, neurodegenerative disorders. And can microgravity be a tool? So I'm putting it out there. You know, I hope I have an opportunity to take my worms up there, because they were selected, but then things happen.
That's awesome. Yeah. Good luck.
And then, yeah, thank you. But the thing is, making sure everybody has access to it. I mean, it shouldn't be for the haves and have-nots, because we do have, and if this is, with some of my preliminary data is, this is actionable, that prolongs, you know, the loss of a person's identity, you know, of self. Can everybody has access in order to have the Lamenda work more effectively with the current medication? So I know I derailed a little bit, but
No,
yeah.
it's great.
It's an informal tradition of space education. So to take a group screenshot. Oh, okay. Let's take a picture. I think
Yeah. Whoever wants to be on camera. One. Harshil, you don't want to be on camera? Melissa? Okay. 1, 2, 3. And I will take one that only shows video participants. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, hopes and dreams?
Oh, yeah, I'm helping Space Kids India and some other space education organizations. So I'll definitely get in touch with you because I also want to help like foster kids and kids of disabled veterans. And I'm doing a lot of projects. Yeah.
Definitely. So definitely let's talk, because there are grants that can actually help us develop resources so you can have access.
Thank you.
Definitely talk offline, because I actually did that with Portugal.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes. Well, I think we're coming to a close. I'm going to defer to Martina. Is there anything else as the moderator that we need to address? I can't hear you.
Oh, you're on mute, Martina.
I'm curious about the exercise that we went through. Have you gone through the exercise with other groups and other topics and other routes in a
Yes.
way that would be beneficial sharing?
Oh, yes. I have like this whole, like, I know my audience, because so for high school students who want to be leaders, so I have leadership training with the STEM mindset and multicultural. So I designed this whole day-long, you know, let's innovate exercise, and then how remove the I perspective to the we perspective. I've done it with my graduate students. So we all have a common goal of a particular research project, and they want to all participate, but they're coming in at different angles. So I create a similar scenario, and then we just go from there. And then they realize beyond solving problems or have an idea how to approach it, they learn how to communicate with one another. They learn about the human factor of, don't assume this means yes or this means no, because when I do analog missions, I know there's one thing that I do right away is like the cultural norms of like, let's make sure we use certain language, affirmative, no, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. Let's not use head movements, because in certain countries this means no. So we be more concrete with our language so there's no misperception, and lean into discomfort, because this is where we learn, because we all come in with our own biases and ideas of what another culture may be, but it's because we don't know, and we don't know what we don't know until someone calls us out, and we have to lend ourselves to be like, oh yeah, I screwed up. That's true. My bad. Now I learned. Or to call someone else out. But in a growth mindset, not to go, you suck. It's not that. It's to really work together for our survival, for innovation, or for wherever our goal may be. And that's hard to do.
Right, right. We also have a question from Harshil, who says that their camera is not working. And the question is, what would be your answer for why aerospace engineering?
Earth-based engineering.
Aerospace.
Oh, why aerospace engineering? There's so many things, because once just being beyond water level. So when you go higher up, there's less pressure. There's different, at least I'm talking as a biologist, biochemistry, things changes, different reactions, even your whole perception as a human changes. Aerospace engineering, I'm taking it as, how can that be used as a tool to aid in the human factor of ailing? How can we make them feel better? Also, individuals love to see different perspectives in a height. So we wouldn't have seen, especially in the rainforest, where is the direction of destruction? Or for the red bloom in Florida, where is it coming from? If we don't have that higher perspective in aerospace engineering, we won't learn as much about our planet as we do now. I hope that helped answer the question, or if I misinterpreted the question, please call me out.
Yeah, Harshil, does it answer your question? It's interesting how always when we talk about white space, it comes back to because Earth.
Because you love what you know. I mean, think about it. Which other planet in this solar system, we don't know other system, love us back as much as Earth?
Right.
And no matter what, we have everything here for survival. So how dare we disrespect it? Because if we disrespect it, it will disrespect us and could harm us, right? You can see that, the climate change. If you burn a house while you're in the house, I mean, you know what I'm trying to emphasize. So this is where our roots as humanity come from, is this planet, as we know now, right? So that's why it comes back. And for me, culturally, I know where my roots come from, Puerto Rico, Taína. And as astronauts move forward and explore, they're going to always remember their roots, Earth, from Portugal or from Puerto Rico, from the US. They're going to go back, and you want to give back. You want to acknowledge, your ancestors by bringing it back. And you're going to still have family here, hopefully.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
hear
asking.
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so since everyone has different resources, and sometimes different networks can cost time and money. I have a close friend that was from Puerto Rico. His dad was disabled from the military, and he got addicted to drugs. And then when his mom went to prison, then he ended up homeless and addicted to drugs. And he was smarter than me, but he ended up homeless and in jail. So I've been around so that always was in the back of my mind when I wanted to help foster kids and stuff. So I was wondering what's your top tips for networking with little resources? Yeah.
There's a lot of nonprofit organizations. So I could say it's Team Superheroes. This is I co-founded and also now the secretary of. We provide resources internationally as much as possible, or we will connect you. And also connecting to people who have resources in that area. And don't be shy in being persistent, respectful, but persistent, because the worst case scenario is no, you're still in the same spot. Trust me, I've gotten a lot of no's, but that one yes could change not only that person's life, several other people's life, because you're setting the scaffold that other people could emulate and follow. So that's my piece of advice, because that's what I do. I'm always reading. I'm always just because of family and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, there's a person hurt here. I can't be there, but who are my resources? Who am I connected to? Or who can introduce me to make a connection? Don't underestimate the power of just the voice. Voices touch people, and that will inspire others to help. I mean, what you just started here is the beginning of a domino effect, right? Definitely we could talk offline. We could probably find something, but definitely connect with individuals and say, hey, these are my resources. I have a situation. Do you know how you could help, or can you help me figure out a way to help them? But just be persistent, but respectful.
Thank you.
there anything about your analog astronaut mission from the beautiful cave behind you that is relevant to the topic that you would be excited to share with us?
I shared a little bit. So I'm hoping that the material that we found here can be used as a bioremediator to break down harmful hydrocarbons that can actually clean up the oceans. Because this part here, I can't tell you what it is yet until I publish it with my team. I think it can be used. So I'm excited. And then if that is possible, I mean, it's not going to be like by tomorrow or next year, it's going to take a couple of years, then can we use, similar to when we talked about the Chernobyl and that bacteria that could break down radiation, stuff like that, can that be used as a method to slightly terrestrialize a particular area of a different planet in order for, humanity could exist there? And then that's a different ethics, about inhabiting another planet. Is it for exploration or colonization? But that's a different ethical discussion.
Wonderful. Does anyone have any other questions or anything that we should have asked and did not?
Or I didn't touch on, or you need clarification?
I suppose we are good with what we heard. Thank you so much for a nice overview, concrete examples, guiding us through the exercise, as well as for sharing your personal life story.
And thank you everyone for spending time together, and you could do it. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch.
Yes, adios everybody. Take care. Bye.